skeptical person. I can't help it. I was sent to private school for most of my education, and private school is they're really big on teaching you to be very skeptical of what you see in front of you and to ask questions, which is weird because I went to a Catholic private school and they didn't ask questions of priests and why they had this entire structure designed to protect themselves versus not the people they should have been protecting when it came to that whole molestation thing. But hey,
I've come to realize that most ideologies, religions, political ideologies are very hypocritical. That's why you should just make sure. You got to make sure to be consistent with the beliefs that you already have.
Well, the thing is, you should just be skeptical and say, okay, what are you willing to give up? Like, how much bullshit are you willing to let slide? And what is the thing that's like too far for you? Because I mean, you can't say like all of them are greedy, all of them want control. But it's like, okay, like, someone can be an a-hole and do something good. Case in point, LBJ was a racist, totally a racist. But it still doesn't also change the fact that he signed through the civil rights movement, which basically opened up a lot of opportunities for a lot of people of color. So, I mean, he was a racist, but he also did this really good thing for people who had been abused by through the system, through systemic, injustices endemic in the system. So it's like,
In a way, your mileage may vary.
Well, I mean, it just depends on, like, you need to see how much BS you can take. It's like, like I said, like Republicans like to say that, Lincoln freed the slaves. Yeah, Lincoln freed the slaves, but his plan was to send the people, slaves, who would work for free to build the country up, which if you adjust for inflation, the amount of money that the chattel slavery South was making through agricultural production, if you adjust for inflation, was literally some of the highest revenue generated in U.S. history. Still, even back then, on the backs of slaves, okay? On the backs of slaves. And they wanted to send those people that had been freed back to Africa. After they did all this work to generate all this revenue, they got nothing out of it, okay? Except, broken families, bastard half-white children, foisted upon them through rape, getting their feet chopped off, brutalized, their families torn apart, a religion foisted upon them with a white Jesus, even if you believe Jesus was a historical figure, he was a Middle Eastern Arabic Jew.
Yeah, I don't really understand why people get into those silly arguments, but whatever.
But, good for you. But I don't know why that got all serious. Let's get back to gaming. So before we go any further, I guess we're going to talk about, what we have coming up.
Wait, can we introduce ourselves before?
Yeah, that's right. I'm losing my train of thought. Go ahead, sir. Introduce yourself.
My name is Kenoshi Bombinito, and Sony has nothing to show.
I ain't got nothing. I ain't got shit.
I just really wanted to say that.
I was gonna say, it depends. Would you rather them show nothing or show crap or show beep?
At this point, I would rather them just show something. I would rather them show something and fall flat on their face like Microsoft did with the original Xbox One reveal, than them just keep on. Because right now, Sony is like right now, it's like Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo were at a poker table. And Nintendo showed their cards 3 years ago. And Microsoft showed their cards like last month. And Sony's like everyone's like, call, show your cards, call. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to show my cards. Actually, I'm not. I ain't going to do shit. It's like at a certain point you're going to have to show your cards. And personally, no one stalls this much unless they don't have shit to show.
Yeah. They could have pre-recorded it and put it up there. like a Nintendo Direct or something.
Yeah, but I mean, have you seen Sony's attempt to emulate Nintendo Directs? They're shit.
I mean, it's not like Nintendo. It's not like Nintendo. We know when Nintendo didn't have their Direct. It was like a year or so ago because of the floods or because of the storms. I mean, all right. I mean that made sense, but this, I mean, yeah, it's bad and everything, but.
Yeah, Sony's in a no-win position, and if anything, they're just sinking like a.
Now, here's where Sony is right now. Okay, Sony is in the position Nintendo was in with the Wii to the Wii U right now, because the PS4 is the highest-selling game system of the 8th gen. So basically, they're not going to be able to top that with the PS5. And yet they want to, but historically they're not going to be able to. So they're basically at this point like, well, shit.
We're SOL.
Well, I mean, because here's the thing. Like, a lot of the games, okay, like, architecturally speaking, the PS5, despite having, specs that are supposedly so much better than the PS4, the games aren't going to look all that much better than what they already look like. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So really, at this point, it's going to be about games. But here's the thing: this Corona thing came through, and everything has been, everything's been thrown out of whack, and so they don't have anything to show, and everyone's been affected by it. Nintendo didn't even have a Direct; they just dropped trailers for shit, no explanation. And this is Nintendo we're talking about. Typically they're pretty top notch on when they with getting information out for upcoming games that they want to be a big thing. They just stealth drop that shit. So if they're doing that shit, other people, and Sony, I don't think Sony is nearly as well run as Nintendo, because Sony's a huge company. There's all these different moving parts. Nintendo, they just make games. That's it. They just do video games.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't have a clue. I don't know. Personally, I mean, it is what it is. Jewel, you have any thoughts on on the reason why they didn't show their shit?
Simple. They probably don't want Microsoft to kick them in the orbs.
They don't want a nut shot?
Yeah. I mean, if anything, Sony's been trying to keep from spilling their stuff, especially with how much they keep on saying that their stuff is so super expensive. I got that feeling that if something is going to go south, it's going to happen right after they reveal what the console really is.
Okay, well, I got some news for you guys. Some breaking news. Well, not really breaking. I don't know. We'll cover it later.
Fresh.
We'll cover it later.
Okay. So still, I just say that Sony's just asking for trouble right now. They're after they show what's going on, and they're after they don't. So either way, they gotta do something.
Yeah, they are. They're kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't. They really don't have an out because, like, here's the thing: Microsoft has controlled the narrative. So basically, the shit that happened to Microsoft with the Xbox One isn't going to happen to them this time. And that's, that's.
I was about to say, it's not going to be if you want to play games offline, it's going to be the Xbox 360. It's not going to be that.
Well, the big thing with the Xbox was just Don Matrix. Like, okay, it wasn't just Don Matrix. It was the lack of clear explanation of what the console was, what the console was able to do, why did it always have to be connected to the internet? Like they never really explained. They're like, well, it's connected to the internet in order to like. What was really going on is that Microsoft wanted it to be connected to the internet, so they could basically get your spending habits and what you were watching, and then sell that data to advertisement agencies, and then advertise to you. Because people who own Xbox 360s know that like towards the last 2-3 years of the life cycle of that console, Microsoft was actively they changed the Xbox front page OS for that thing to basically have ads. They were selling your ad data so that they could boost the revenue of the console. That's what that shit was for. So
I can understand.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. It is what it is. I don't know. Kenoshi, any other thoughts before we move on to other things?
Other news?
Yeah, what the I'm sure all they had to show is just sizzle reels of
probably Last of Us 2, more Last of Us 2.
Yeah, Last of Us 2 from the PS5. Oh, we already knew that.
No shit. I think almost every game that is coming to the PS4 is also going to be coming to the PS5.
Yeah.
And I don't here's the thing, you're not going to be able to make those games substantially better looking for the PS5 because right now in the 8th gen between the Xbox One and the PS4, games look pretty damn good. The gameplay hasn't gotten substantially better, but the games look good. So, I mean, we've reached a plateau point. It's like the gameplay has to bear out, and these games don't look that interesting. Like people are like, Horizon Zero Dawn's a great game. Is it really? I mean, I already played a really good version of Horizon Zero Dawn on my Switch. It was called Breath of the Wild.
Ooh.
I did. You want to go around shooting machines with bow and arrows? It's so much better on Breath of the Wild. Because literally, you can go practically everywhere in Breath of the Wild. If you see a mountain in Breath of the Wild, you can probably climb that motherfucker.
Yep.
Okay, nice. Whereas Horizon Zero Dawn still has... Sorry, go ahead.
I said, nice way to throw shade, especially since I remember right, you can almost do everything that the game says in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't even really like Breath of the Wild that much. But, I mean, I'll give it its props. You see someplace on the map, you can probably go there. Whereas Horizon Zero Dawn still has those, hey, this looks like a mountain I can climb. Oh, no, I'm not supposed to. It's an invisible wall. or a surface that's unclimbable. Like, the only way you can get up there is if you glitch the game. So, I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think?
I think it's just gonna be when they have their when they reveal it. It's just gonna be nothing but CGI trailers of various concepts of stuff you might see in the game.
You mean like Microsoft did with their gameplay reveal for Xbox One game, Xbox Sexbox games, and it was just a whole bunch of CGI shit, no actual gameplay. I mean, they're both kind of full of shit, really. I mean,
yeah.
It's just one is slightly... Like, the only reason Microsoft is slightly less full of shit is because at least they're giving you kind of like that cross-buy shit for Xbox One games where you can basically, like, if you get the Series Xbox in the future, you're great. You can get the upgraded version of that game if you already bought it for the Xbox One. But, yeah. I mean, that's a pretty nice deal. But, I mean, like, if you're going to do that, it's just cheaper just to buy the Series Xbox when it comes out. But, you know,
yeah,
what do I know?
Basically, you're just burning coin at this point.
You know, like here's the hilarious thing, right? Like PC, people who are into the Xbox are like, wow, you mean I can play something that I already bought on my next set of my more powerful console? Yeah, man, this is the future. You mean something computers have been doing for fucking years?
Nice way to throw shade.
It's like, oh, a feature. So this only proves that the sex box is just a computer. It's a gaming
Glorified
PC.
Computer.
It's a mini gaming PC. Is what you're telling me.
Basically.
But let's keep it moving.
Yeah.
But let's keep it moving. So basically, our next story is, well, we're going to talk about failure. You know, in order for people to learn, they have to fail. Believe it or not. I've seen people who always basically...
I was gonna say,
what?
Yeah. I was going to say that failure failure is usually something that you want small, but you can still learn from it. So sometimes those failures end up being bigger than you want to be.
That's how you learn. You learn through failure. Now, I mean, there are fatal failures, but someone's going to learn from it. Even if you don't, someone will see your failure and learn from it. Hopefully, knock on wood. Sometimes people don't, but usually people do. And in this case, I'm talking about the ultimate failure. I'm talking about when you have a product that should be a home run success, but fails miserably. So it recently came out that Google Stadia has been, to no one's surprise, failing miserably.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. Apparently, Google Stadia, Google created the answer to a problem that no one was really griping about. Like, no one who was like, man, I really want to play video games, but I don't want to buy a console. Like, there aren't a lot of people, because here's the thing. The people who want to play video games but don't want to buy a console...
That's a small number, isn't it?
No, there are people who do that, but the people who do that are ultra-casual gamers who have smartphones and tablets, and they game on that. Or a laptop. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they created the solution to a problem that no one was asking for. You know, it's kind of, you know, those infomercials where someone's like, "Hey, have you ever found it difficult?" Like you know, where they make a solution to something that shouldn't be a problem. Like, you know, I forget what it's called. It's called the Toilet Buddy. It's basically this device for people who are so fat or so handicapped that they can't wipe their own asses. It's like, have you ever found it really hard to wipe your own ass? Well, get this thing on a stick that you can put the toilet paper on the end of it and then wipe your own ass with, and then you don't have to call someone in to help you. It's like, first of all, if you are in such bad shape that you can't wipe your own ass, a stick ain't gonna help you unless someone gets that stick and beats your ass with it every time you try to eat something that's gonna make you bigger so you can't wipe your own ass. Because it's not you know, that doesn't just happen overnight. You don't just wake up one day and be like, oh, hell, I can't wipe my own ass. That's not a sudden occurrence, okay?
Yeah, how do you get, there's a lot of mistakes that they made to get you to that point.
Exactly. It's a gradual thing. It's not something that, you know, it's not something you just wake up one day, oh shit, I can't wipe my own ass. Ugh. The only way I would say, okay, you're definitely going to need some help is if you're someone who had like a double amputation, like both of your limbs were amputated, like your arms. Okay, then, you need some help. That could be something that happened to you suddenly, but if that didn't happen to you, it's just
you need some weight.
You fucked up. But anyway, so Google created the answer to something that no one was asking for, which is for people who don't want to spend $250 to $350, you pay us $10 a month, and we will give you access to a kind of cloud-based console where you get like a handful of free games every month, but also you pay $60 and you get these games. By the way, none of these games ever really go on sale. Like, the prices on Google Stadia are worse than the Nintendo eShop, which is hard to imagine.
Very funny, you.
I'm being facetious because there are some sales on the Nintendo eShop, but not like those Steam sales. Those Steam sales are criminal.
Yeah, that's the difference between sales. There's light sales, there's normal sales, then there's Steam stealing sales.
Yeah, there's light sales, which is like Nintendo. They're like, this game's normally $60. We'll give you, it's $57. That's our sale. It's like, come on, man, shit.
They at least take $10 off.
That's if you get the platinum coin discount or whatever. But the gold coin discount or whatever is, typically you're not seeing that. I mean, just the in-store, we're trying to move this sale. Typically, not really all that exciting. Although occasionally, like Golden Week, you'll see like this game is normally like $19.99. It's like $2. I'm like, okay, that's a sale. Then you get like real sales, and then you get the heavily discounted. You almost feel bad about buying the shit that low sales. That's Steam and Bundle and Humble Bundle. It's ridiculous. It's like, man, I feel bad. I mean, I got the definitive edition of Sleeping Dogs for like 99 cents off of Bundle Stars. Fanatical. And I almost felt bad about it. But then I realized, why would I spend more when I can spend less? But anyway, so basically,
it's Mr. Thrifty.
Well, no, listen. If you look at people who actually have money, they do not spend more than they have to on things. Now, some things you got to spend money on, right? Like you just, it's not going to be like, there's some things you're not going to get a discount on. You just got to spend what it is. You got to just, you got to put out money for it. But then there's some things where, if you can get it cheaper, why spend more? Legitimately. Don't screw people out of their money.
I was going to say, this is a case by case, but I get what you're saying.
So, basically, Stadia failed miserably, and it continues to fail. Stadia has been failing so hard that literally, big third party CEOs have been like, damn, man, you fucking up. The Take-Two CEO is like, yeah, they kind of been fucking up. Yeah. So, what are your guys' thoughts?
Sugarcoat.
Yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on Stadia just continue to fuck up?
I'm not surprised. Who is?
I'm looking for my laugh track.
I am not surprised at all. I cannot believe that it did. I wanted Stadia to succeed, just on principle.
Oh, I wanted it to fail so freaking hard it cuts off the limbs.
I wanted it to succeed on principle because, even though I talked a lot of shit about making up a solution to the problem, to a problem that doesn't exist, there is a segment of the population who do want to play, of the buying of the consumer populace, who do want to play video games but don't want to spend, half.
You have to be effing stupid for that kind of stunt. Well, I mean, seriously, that kind of idea is going to be a supplement, not a replacement.
But here's the thing, though, where I'm kind of like...
You're not winning this, Red. Trust me.
Here's the thing, though. There have been.
Sorry, but there are a lot of people who just see media as disposable. They don't see it like we do.
And not just that. there are people who call themselves gamers who like to play video games and want to play consoles, but you ask them, like, why don't you play more? They're like, well, I don't want to spend $1,000 to get all 3 consoles and a PC. Like the barrier to entry for them is the amount of money they would have to spend to own all that hardware. And so, I mean, even though I was talking shit earlier, why there is a segment of the population.
Supplement, not replacement, buddy.
Look, Cyril, I'm sorry. There's
period.
People that will see it as their main thing.
I'm saying it. It's period.
Joel,
people see Netflix as their main thing.
Yeah.
Have a collection of DVDs.
Kenoshi just used a really good example. Let's expound upon that, okay? There are people who the primary way that they watch television is through cable, okay? Even they still do cable, okay? Then there are people who are cord cutters who just get like 1 or 2 services, maybe 3, and then they just stick with that. Now, I mean, either way, you're still watching those programs, but one is, to some people, a more economical benefit for them than the other. Now, personally, I don't care either way. Like, I'm mostly a cord cutter. I only have 1 TV in my house that gets cable. The rest of the time, and I don't even watch cable that often, the rest of the time, I just watch various services through the internet and the various services I subscribe to. So, I mean, it's like I can see where cord cutters can be like, okay, I'm tired of spending all this money for a package that I'm not really watching these programs. I can understand that. Now, me personally, I agree with you. I prefer...
you're going to give her up. So you're trying to say that interactive media is supposed to be digital.
No.
We can live in a world where digital.
Here's the thing, Jewel. I don't want video games to be strictly cloud-based or strictly digital. However, that's where it's going. Like
this is the reason why I said supplement. Not replacement.
Jewel, it's a freight train.
Never gonna happen.
It's a freight train coming down the tracks, and I don't care how many people that stand in front of it. I don't care how many people stand in front of that train. They're gonna get run the fuck down, and I don't want to get run the fuck down by a freight train.
I'll take a hit.
All right.
I'll take a hit. You.
Okay.
All right, you want to take that hit?
Whatever. More power to you.
I still buy physical media.
Okay, so when we lose all rights to having even to own some games, I'm gonna say it's on you.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I don't like. Here's the thing. Like I said earlier, I don't want this, but it's happening. It's like, look, I mean, Joel, think of it like this, okay? I don't want the environment to go to shit. I do my best to not.
Come on, you son of a beep. You're lying your ear and all.
No, I don't want the environment to go to shit. I personally, I'm using an analogy to explain. I understand where you're coming from, but on what, look, I understand where you're coming from, Jewel. I mean, look, like you said, you don't want it to happen, but it's happening regardless of whether or not you want it to happen.
But if you keep on wanting to support something that's going to be dangerous to what gaming is, and you're going to be on their side.
That's the thing, Joel. You're misconstruing me admitting that it exists and that it's happening with me wanting it to happen. I don't want it to happen. I don't want it to happen. Okay, I don't want that to be there. Happen. No, I said I don't want it to happen. But here's the thing: me not wanting it to happen isn't going to change it from happening. Okay. That's the thing, okay? Me saying, man, you know, I really wish, like, the only thing I can do is do my best to not buy into it and not give into it. But here's the thing, I already see certain games are going digital only. There is no physical release. So if you want that game, you're gonna have to get it digitally. That's just how it is. I mean, even Nintendo's doing it with their fake ass virtual console replacement. You don't own those games. You're renting them. And as soon as the rights go out and Nintendo says fuck it, they're gonna be like, oh well, you don't have access to those games anymore because we lost the rights.
Reason why I'm careful to not go and play those retake those certain games and buy and digital download. If anything, you have to go for certain games that you could download to your system and play whenever you want.
Yeah, but that's the thing, Joel, is that, like, before all of that, I'm a gamer first. I want to play games. I want to support the developers who make those games. There are certain games where they're like, yeah, we're going to come out with a physical edition of this game, but it's not going to come out for like 6 months. I don't want to wait fucking 6 months to play a game I was really looking forward to, because...
Oh, you have no patience then.
No, I have tons of patience. I mean, you're talking to a guy who waited, like, I wanted an electric car. I could have gotten one when they first came out, but they were really expensive. I waited like 7-8 years till the price for what I really wanted went really down, and I got a Tesla, the top model Tesla from like 2 years ago.
The Epic Store when the
I was about to say, holy crap, guys, you're rich as hell.
No, actually, if you get one of the top of the line used. It's like a factory refurb, so it comes from the dealer, but it's used, and they refurbish it and everything. You get the warranty and everything, but it's like from 2 years ago. But it's still it's the one that has the best battery that lasts for like days on one really good charge. It's great, and I was like, look, I care about the environment. I sort my fucking garbage out. I compost in the back of my house. Like, I try to do things to help the environment. I don't turn on a lot of lights. I have a power regulator in my house that basically like lowers the power requirement of certain parts of my house when I'm not around, or if I'm not on that floor, not using anything in there. I mean, I try my best, but just because I'm doing my best, if there aren't enough people doing their best, my efforts are dropping the ocean, and I feel good about it. But if other people are fucking up the environment, there's nothing I can do about it, aside from what I'm doing. Like, I can tell people, hey, you might need to, turn off those lights. Maybe use recyclable things and actually recycle them. But, I mean, I can only do so much. All right? I can only do so much.
And you wonder why I'm doing with trying to keep it as fiscal as possible.
I want to, look, I too want to stop greenhouse emissions and have have cows not be just, eating and farting all the time. But I also occasionally really want a hamburger or a steak, Every once in a while, I just really want a nice, medium rare, well-seared steak. Not all the time. Maybe once every 3 or 4 months. But every once in a while, I just want a steak. But that's my own, But I guess we can move on to the next portion of this topic, which is talking about Stadia having failed miserably, as I guess we all knew it would fail because... like, literally, that old saying, what can go wrong will go wrong? Google went out of their way to basically make this as unattractive and stupid as humanly possible, which is amazing because NVIDIA did essentially the same thing, and it works really well. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know...
Granted, it kind of, the whole NVIDIA thing kind of annoys me just because of the fact that these developers want you to pay for the game again. You already own it.
Well,
it's just like, you already own the game. Why can't you play it through their cloud system or through Steam? I don't know.
Well, they want you to pay for it again because you're being charged $5 for the premium version. And they think the way they're looking at it is if Nvidia can make money off of it, then we're going to get our cut too.
Yeah, I guess so. That's not annoying. I mean, what you're doing is renting out a computer to play the game you already bought on Steam.
Yeah. Same thing with Stadia. Yeah. Same thing with Stadia.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing the same thing. You're using their hardware to run your game, and it's being transmitted to you over the internet.
Yeah,
it's basically all that's going on. The difference between the two, where I'm kind of like, I can let it slide a little bit with Nvidia, is that Nvidia has a free model that works. It's like, well, you can play for an hour and then it boots you off, and you get back into the queue. It's $5 a month. You don't get free games, I don't think, with Nvidia, do you? You have it.
I don't know. Not yet. I don't. It's kind of new, so.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of sad how you have how you have third parties, and believe me, it's mostly third parties playing Kingmaker with Nvidia. When Nvidia was a lot less invasive, they were way more honest with what this service was. They were like, look, you have a library of games, you will have access to those games, so you can play them anywhere if you're attached to our service and you have a high-speed internet connection.
Yeah.
Enough said. And a controller that can handle it. I mean, that's all. I mean, shit. I mean, what else do you need to say?
Because the thing about the NVIDIA Learn system is what it allows you to do. It allows you to log on to any of the game clients, any of the game launchers like Steam or Battle.net,
well, they added Steam recently. Steam was the big one. If the fact that Steam joined forces with them means that if Nvidia can hold on, they'll always be they're always going to be a service because, I mean, Steam has Steam Cloud Gaming, which is nice, but that's only in your house, I think.
Yeah.
But if you add Nvidia and having access to all those games through Nvidia, the sky's the limit. See, Nvidia did it right. They partnered with a big with someone who had the infrastructure to help them leverage all that shit.
Yeah, exactly. So what I was trying to say is that if the game was available on the Nvidia's and you actually own the game on that launcher, then you could play it.
Yeah.
These developers were like, no, you can't do that. You can't play games you already own. You can't rent out a computer and play games you already own.
Well, their big thing is that Nvidia is charging for it's Nvidia charges $5 for the service.
Yeah.
And all of that goes to Nvidia. See, Nvidia's making money off of their shit, so that's why they're kind of like, you know.
I mean, I guess if you wanted to take this to court, say no, we're charging, we're charging people to use our computers.
Yeah, but I mean, does Nvidia actually does Nvidia want to be tied up in court for years and years and years? Because that's what would happen.
Yeah, and I'm not even an Nvidia fanboy. I don't really like. I'm not like, a huge Nvidia sympathizer. We've known they've done some dirty stuff in the past, but it just made no sense to me when I read it. It's like,
yeah, I mean, it is kind of ass backwards. Not gonna lie. Any other failures you guys want
to? Well, if we're going at failures, I can always aim at one, and it's probably the easiest one I'm going to be aiming at. Virtual reality, or whatever.
VR?
Attempt at virtual reality. Yeah.
Oh, so let me get this straight, Joel. You're not a VR trooper? We are VR.
We are VR. Well, nice one, and if anything, that's the only thing I get on your case of more than Stadia's going in VR. If you ever go that way.
I have to admit, I'm tired of VR.
I mean, alternate reality, I can actually take because you could look at some at screen and you could see nothing at one end and then some and a little creature on the other. That's that's entertaining, and it doesn't clog up all your view sites.
All right.
And and anybody that knows VR or attempts at VR is going to know what I'm going to aim at next. Then again, it only had two colors, red and black.
Yeah, but the Virtual Boy wasn't VR.
Well, it wasn't an attempt at VR.
It wasn't even an attempt at VR. It was basically the Virtual Boy was basically a Game Boy Color in your hands.
A Game Boy Color that blinds you and is barely portable.
Well, it's not portable at all, really, but I get what you're saying.
Well, you said it was the Game Boy.
I mean, in terms of technology, it was essentially a Game Boy in your hands.
Yeah. So still, saying it like that just made me try not to laugh hard because with only two colors and no portability, it's anything but VR or the Game Boy.
Yeah. So Kenoshi, you were going to say something?
I was going to say the Neo Geo. The arcade system.
Ooh.
I can look. The Neo Geo.
The Neo Geo priced itself out of existence, as far as I know.
Yeah, the Neo Geo was not a roaring success, if you will.
It's like trying to sell it's like a gaming computer, a super high-end gaming computer to the majority of gamers.
Yeah, I mean, it was very expensive. It was $600. It was between $600 and $700 for the base. For the base model, it was like $600. For the higher end one, it was like $700. If you adjust for inflation, you're looking at like between $1,200 and $1,500 today for a console. But I mean, it wasn't a console. It was an arcade machine in your house. So, if that's cool with you, then, you know. But, you know, I mean, that's my own. I guess it's my turn. Speaking of failures, I'm gonna say that well, I'm gonna say something that's it hurts my soul to admit this, but well, not really. I think the Dreamcast was a total and complete failure. It was a market failure. Sega lost a lot of money.
If anything, I consider it a mixed failure. Because Sega still live, but they really are not as powerful as they used to.
They lost all their money. They were broke. I mean, I feel sorry for Sega because Sega did make some good games back in the day, but
yeah, as I said, I consider it a mixed failure because they still live on, but oh god.
Yeah, Sega is not what they used to be. Yeah, Sega is not what they used to be. I mean, there's no doubting that. Sega is not what they used to be back in the day. Which leads to my unpopular opinion. I guess you guys should get your unpopular opinions ready if you guys want to go first.
Oh, I got a pair.
Okay then, I'll let you go. Go ahead.
So actually, I'm letting you choose. Do you want me to go with visuals or with something else?
No, go ahead with your unpopular opinion. The unpopular opinion is your guys' chance to say whatever the hell you want, but as long as it's an unpopular opinion.
I'm going to go with this one, and I'm probably going to hear either a lot of agreements or a lot of hate. Graphics are not everything, except in two specific genres: fighting games and platform. I mean, seriously, if you need pixel perfect timing to move around in certain things and try to be sure that you get that frame by frame hit combo in, then graphics are for you. For everything else, I give it a FU.
All right.
I mean, it's probably the shortest one I could break, but come on, if anything, I feel like that's true, especially seeing there's all these people saying that graphics are powerful and it shows how good the game is.
I mean, how can I put this? I think graphics should serve gameplay. So if graphics make the game what it is, like they add some depth and complexity to the title. Like there's certain games like Yoshi's Island, like Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. That game doesn't exist without the graphics.
Yeah, without the storybook art style.
Like Paper Mario doesn't exist without the graphics. If that game didn't have the graphics, it just wouldn't be what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's video games are a visual medium. It's just when you put more emphasis on how a game looks rather than how it plays, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's when you have okay, they're fucking up. But I mean, I don't think like let me put it this way. As someone who has tried to get into older games, it's sometimes hard, and I appreciate a lot of older games, but it's hard for me to get into some of them because the graphics are just if you came up to me and said, "Hey man, let's play Atari," I'd be like, do I have to?
This is probably the reason why I'm the one that would say that graphics only matter in platformers and fighting games. Because if anything, I actually have a lot of understanding of back in the day graphics having not being so powerful, and can understand what it could be at the time. I mean, seriously, when it came to seeing retro games, it makes me know that graphics are not everything, but if anything, it can actually enhance the game when provided in the correct context. Or, I mean, Octopath Traveler did that.
Yeah, but that still was graphics though, because the first thing you saw about that game was the kind of, it was an interesting twist on a typical 16-bit pixelated art style. That's what made that game so interesting, was that it was that pixelated twist on a 16-bit art style. Because if you took that away, the Octopath Traveler at its core was really, all it really was just a derivation of what you were getting on it was a derivation of the art style, of the gameplay style that you were getting in Bravely Default. That's all it really was.
It took you long enough to find that.
Yeah, it did. I had to work at it a little bit. I was like, okay, I know what it is. I know what it is.
Reason why I feel I'm right. It took you so long to find something to compensate for that one.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, it is essentially, at its core, all the shit is just a derivation of the Octopath Traveler gameplay. That's all it is.
You said Bravely Default when you were trying to go for Traveler.
That's all
so
it is.
Excuse me.
That's all it is. It's basically just Octopath. Octopath Traveler is basically Bravely Default with a better art style.
I'm still in the right.
I mean, I'm not a look. Listen, I like I like that game, but that's all it is. It's not doing anything substantially new or different than what you would have seen on, other titles.
Well, if anything, it's funny that the graphics didn't drop in at first. I just felt it just looked all right. The gameplay pulled me in deeply.
It was the graphics for me first. It's like, oh, this looks like a throwback to, those 18-bit games from back in the day. And then I played it. I'm like, oh, wait, this is actually a really fucking good game. And that's basically what got me. Because, I mean, I like Bravely Default. And I like the gameplay of Bravely Default. But I was like...
I got Bravely Default and Bravely Second.
I mean, I like the first Bravely Default. I think Bravely Second was just a little bit too much. I know some people would be like, "How dare you, sir?" I'm not a big fan of the second game, but
I couldn't get into it. I think I only played a few minutes of it. Mexican.
What, Bravely Default or Bravely Second?
Bravely Second.
Yeah, Bravely Second didn't do anything for me. I know some people would be like, "How dare you?" It just didn't do anything for me. Okay.
I played both demos and both of them pulled me in.
I know some people are gonna get mad when they hear that, but I was not feeling.
Don't pull a Shulk, please don't.
I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it.
Speaking of that, I got the definitive edition.
Where's the tomatoes? You need them.
Mainly got it because I didn't have a physical copy of the game.
Fair enough.
Seriously, where's the tomatoes? You had to go there.
I mean, I can understand where you're coming from. Yeah?
What? Oh, go ahead. I'll ask later.
No, you can ask now.
Oh, I was wondering, what did they pull from the definitive version of Xenoblade Chronicles?
There's some side stuff that was pulled from the game. Like, not major, but it's still not definitive.
Oh.
It's like one of those things where it's like, I'm not really... I'm not feeling it.
Why did they pull it?
I don't know, man. I think because this game is a port of the Wii version. Whereas the one that was on the Switch was something completely new versus being like the Wii version. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that game had to be remade entirely for the Switch, for the 3DS, versus the one that was on the
Wii U.
Yeah, the one that was on the one that was on the version of the game that was on the Switch is a port of what was on the Wii, whereas the one that was on the 3DS was remade entirely. And I think they used the code for the Wii for the new game. If you get what I'm saying.
I think I get you.
It wasn't a complete and total remake from the ground up, is what I'm saying.
Of course.
Do you get what I'm saying? Do you understand?
Yeah. It takes a bit, but some of us do.
So,
if anything, I still have to groan hearing that.
What? That I wasn't feeling it?
Yeah.
Well,
I've been seeing so many Xenoblade puns going on.
The thing is,
to at least evade.
The thing is that I really don't like, I mean, I'm not enthralled with Xenoblade Chronicles, like some people. The first game.
Oh.
I think, in my opinion, I think Xenoblade Chronicles X is the better game. I will say this much: Xenoblade Chronicles 1 is much better in terms of
story.
The first game. Well, I mean, okay, there's shit that the Xenoblade Chronicles, the first game, does so much better than the second game. Like how you can wear different outfits for each character, and what you wear affects how you look. Like that's something that the first game has that Xenoblade Chronicles 2, despite being on a more powerful hardware, did not have. Which just basically lets me know that that game was rushed out in order to have a game out for the Switch.
It's a launch game or a launch window.
Yeah, they rushed that game out to get it out there. Like, shit, we need to get this game out there.
I mean, it was so rushed that it came out like near the end of the year, like right at the tail end of the year in December.
Yeah.
They should have just waited until like January or February to release the game.
You know, and the game felt kind of rushed. Not gonna lie, I'm not gonna be like, oh no, they didn't do that. Come on, man. Let's use our brains here, okay? The game was not optimized well. That's one of the two Switch games that crashed on me. You know, I've told people this before.
And the other would the Breath of the Wild, if I remember right.
Yeah, it was Breath of the Wild. I mean, how are you? I've never had a Nintendo first-party game crash on me. Never. I've never had a Nintendo first-party game crash on me.
Yeah.
And yet, had Xenoblade Chronicles 2 crash on me. I had Breath of the Wild crash on me, which hurts even more because Breath of the Wild is like a marquee title, but it crashed on the Switch. Now, of course, I mean, I think that game was rushed to get out. You know, when it did. You know, I can't prove it, but you don't have a game crash like, you don't have a game not run like you don't have your marquee first party title.
You don't have a key game of your system get crashed down like that, right?
Not for Nintendo, no.
If anything, that is a rarity. So.
Like, you know, I never have seen Nintendo do some shit like that before. Like, this is the first time I've had a Nintendo first-party game have major issues like that.
Issues.
Yeah, you don't normally see that from Nintendo. You really don't.
I mean, it's rare that it happens, but if anything, when it does happen, it stands out like a sore thumb.
To me, it was some bullshit. Like, I'm like, how are you going to be doing that? How are you going to be messing up like that first party? Which is where I'm kind of like, okay, that's where I'm kind of like, okay, you done fucked up. Because it's a first party game. This is supposed to be like, okay, we always say Nintendo has the best developers in the industry, right? They're the best developers in the industry. How the fuck are you making those types of mistakes and you're supposed to be the best developers in the industry? That's my problem with a lot of the games on the Switch. Is that like, not a lot of the games, that Breath of the Wild, I'm like, you're the best. You know, if you're the, like, okay, if you're the smartest student in your class, as the teacher, I'm going to be like, okay, well, I'm going to hold you to a higher standard because you are one of the better students. And, you know, like, that's just how I am. I know some people might get angry. They might be like, well, how can you say that? You know, I mean, you know, if you're a straight A student and you're in a class, of course the teacher's going to think you're going to know what you're doing because you're a straight A student, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, why would I not have high expectations of a straight A student? You know?
Like, only if you're basically the slowest of the, or something like that.
Unless you're in the slow, I mean, what do they call it now? Developmentally stagnated. No, you can't use developmentally challenged anymore because that's not politically incorrect.
I use that because if anything, it means that you have a problem. I mean, seriously, is that hard to actually admit that?
You're not allowed to say it anymore. We are no longer allowed to say developmentally challenged. You got to use some other term that is more kosher. And I'm okay with that because I don't want to come off as insensitive or an asshole to people, because you know people can't help the way they're born if they have some type of, you know, developmental issue. It's not their fault. But I mean, you know, how do you guys feel about that? I mean, do you agree, disagree with my unpopular opinion that Sega was never all that, you know? I never thought Sega was, like, a lot of people said they were on par with Nintendo. You do realize that every other console except for the Sega Genesis, Sega's console just did, like, were diminishing returns. Well, they didn't flop, but they weren't, they didn't set the world afire. Like, okay, the original Master System failed miserably. It was a distant third in the market, and then you had the Sega Genesis. The Sega Genesis was neck and neck with the SNES for a while, and then eventually it was overtaken by the Super Nintendo. So then you go to the Sega Saturn, which failed. Like, I don't think the Sega Saturn did as well as the N64. Worldwide, I don't think it did. Then you go to...
And it has to kind of hurt when you hear all...
And we won't even go with the CD and the 32X.
Oh, that was a mess. And that's before thinking about what they pulled off with the attachments.
Yeah, can't forget those. Well, that was the CD and the 32X. All those damn attachments that no one wanted.
Yeah, and that's before they officially went full CD.
It's like, hey guys.
And that's what the Saturn.
Don't you want attachments that no one ever asked for? Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah.
Because those attachments not only had their own power cord, but they really hauled up the space in trying to attach the 16.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a big proponent of the I've heard people say, well, Sega was on par with Nintendo. I'm like, no, not really. Like, I never thought they were on par with Nintendo. I never thought that they were on the same level.
They were only on...
What were you saying, Joel?
I said that I feel like they were that Sega and Nintendo were on par with each other for only one generation. And that was probably... and that was probably way back.
I don't even think they were on par with Nintendo during that one generation. Like, I don't think the 16-bit generation they were on par with Nintendo during that generation. I don't think they were. I know some people are going to be like, "How dare you?" But I don't think they were. I know some people will disagree, but I don't. I just don't. I don't think. I think that they get. I think that people look at Sega. Kind of like a certain way because they really want them to be, you know, the cool kids. They want them to be the cool kids, but I don't think that's I don't think Sega is deserving of that particular
title,
yeah. Because for one thing, I just don't think Sega made like I don't think they ever made games that were that good. Like basically they made a lot of they made a lot of like their big thing was, okay, we're going to bring the arcade to your house. But the thing is that the arcades started going down in the mid 90s. So they literally created the stuff that basically destroyed they destroyed their own business, trying to bring the arcade to people's houses.
Kind of ironic.
And I know some people are going to get upset by that, but it's true.
My unpopular opinion is that fourth and sixth gen hold up much better than fifth gen, and I don't something about the simplicity of those older games, those 8 and 16-bit games. You know, they're a lot easier to go back to than like the N64 and PlayStation. And I don't know what it is about the GameCube and PS2 era, but I feel those games aren't super difficult to go back to. Maybe because things have changed, mechanically speaking, changed all that much.
Fair enough. I mean,
the controls have gotten a bit smoother, and you know, and in some cases the AI is getting better, but not that much better.
Okay. I mean, I disagree, but it's your opinion. You know, it's opinions are subjective. So, you know, everyone can have one. Everyone can have an opinion. I mean, I kind of do agree that once the 5th gen hit, like, a lot of innovation started to leave the video game industry, because basically the only thing that happened in the 5th, from the transition from the 5th into the 6th gen, is that games got prettier, but the fundamentals of what gaming is, your first-person shooters, your platformers, your 3D platformers, like, they just have gotten prettier. Like, they haven't really gotten more complex.
Like, I felt like in the 5th gen, games kind of got slower. Like, they got more, sluggish. As they entered 3D. And that's not the case for all games, but I think a lot of games feel a bit slower compared to
2D games.
The 2D games, and then when 6th gen hit, we were kind of going back. Games started to speed up and feel a little more smoother. Like, frame rate stuff is was smoother. Then we got the 7th gen, and it seems like we kind of took a few steps back. Let's try to go forward.
Yeah, I can agree. I mean, that's my big thing about gaming right now is that really, aside from like the 5th gen, was when we had like major innovation, in my opinion. It's the reason why you're right. A lot of games didn't make that transition. Like Sonic did not make the transition to 3D well, and I would argue that there hasn't been a good Sonic game, a good 3D Sonic game ever. Even the one that I like, Sonic Unleashed, isn't really that good. I just like it because it's different, but it's not that good. I actually like the Werehog levels. I know people are gonna get mad at me about that, but I do.
I actually consider it a weird blessing and curse. Like, the Werehog is not bad, but it could do better.
I just like that they had levels that didn't, because this is just my own personal opinion, but I think Sega has been recycling the same general tropes in 3D Sonic games for years, except Sonic Lost World. But every other Sonic game is, you're going to have a level where Sonic is running away from something and being chased by a truck, a whale, a wave, a wall of fire. He's going to be running away from something, and it's going to be like on rails. He's going to be running towards something, collecting rings, hitting different tracks, homing. Like, it's like the same. They keep on recycling the same level design, just in a different setting with these fucking 3D Sonic games. Like, Mario has had his 3D debut, okay? Mario went from, Super Mario World to Super Mario 64. And even though 3D Mario is very different from 2D Mario, like, you still could see
both of them have their quirks.
Well, you can still see the DNA of a 2D Mario game and a 3D Mario game. Whereas the Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog in 3D, they haven't even really a 3D Sonic game will build this massive, beautiful city, but you can't explore it.
I was about to say, you're going too fast to look at any buildings.
Hey, you see this massive, beautiful city with all these different side streets and all this stuff. You can't explore any of that. Just go to the next level. I mean, they spent time and energy making this hub world that you can't explore.
I mean,
that's from Sonic Adventure, and that's terrible. Ooh.
I mean, I was
remembering it. That's why.
My favorite Sonic game is Lost World, and like you said about Unleashed, that wasn't even really all that good.
No. I mean,
there was. I felt like there was potential there, but since it wasn't all that greatly received, they were like, "No, we can't build off of this. We can't."
Yeah.
Make this better.
Lost World was a step in the right direction because it didn't have them recycling shit from other 3D Sonic games, and it actually was trying to do something a little bit different. But instead of building on that, they released Sonic Boom the year after that, and Sonic Boom is
bust.
Let me put it this way: Sonic Boom is like when you went to a public pool and someone took a shit in the pool, and you saw it floating in the pool. That's basically Sonic Boom. It's a turd floating in a public pool.
The thing about Lost World is they started thinking about what Sonic really is, and they're starting to think maybe Sonic isn't just about how fast he can run. Maybe there's more to Sonic than just that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's completely abandoned.
Yeah,
they completely abandoned it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, that's why I like Sonic Unleashed, because you had levels where Sonic wasn't running insanely fast; he was doing other shit. And the problem with Sonic the Hedgehog, in my opinion, is that
he loves speed.
Well, not just that. Sega doesn't know how to do other things with the character aside from making him run fast. Like Mario, okay, you could take Mario and they took Mario and put him in Mario 64, where he had abilities and he could explore. His jumping was still there. He could do a lot of shit that he couldn't do in 2D games in 3D space, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. you can do that when you have good level design. But most of the 3D Sonic games are just like, I'm running, like, most of the levels you're running on rails.
Racetracks.
Yeah, you're running on rails, you're dodging shit on the rails, and then you'll have an area where you're inside of an arena, but you have a homing attack, which you can chain together against enemies, so, you know, it's like, this game is not really complex.
Built for speed.
Well, it's built for speed and nothing else. There's no exploration. There's no, you could say, well, you can collect the Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah, but look where the reward is more speed.
Like Mario's gimmick is he's a plumber, but he barely even does that. You know.
Now, if you play the Mario and Luigi games, he plumbs things. He goes down pipes. He goes down pipes. I mean, you know, listen.
He takes care of things.
You remember Ben 10? You remember Ben 10 where his grandfather was a plumber, but plumbers in that world meant that they fought monsters and shit? Well, maybe Mario's that type of plumber. Maybe we had it mixed up the entire time. He is a plumber. He's just not a plumber in the conventional sense.
Nice way to interpret it, Fred.
Well, I'm being facetious, but I mean, like, because originally he was a carpenter, but really, you know.
Hey, it's fun listening to all that.
Personally, I think he and his brother are in the mafia and they're on the run. They committed a crime, they skipped out on bail, and now they're just hiding in the Mushroom Kingdom. Like, I imagine some nights Luigi wakes up, he's like, Mario, I want to go home. No, Luigi, you know if we go back home, they put us in jail for 50 years. I'm not going in jail and have some big fat guy say, why don't you bend over, Mario? That's not happening, Luigi. Mario ain't no bitch.
Red, there's a reason why I know that you're like the Red in Animal Crossing. You're crazy at times, like Fox, but you're like.
But yeah, I think that Sonic has never had that, and the reason Sonic hasn't had that successful leap into 3D is because Sega just isn't that, they aren't that good of a
level maker.
They don't make good games. Ooh. I mean, you could say that some of the best games Sega made was because someone else made something and they wanted to one-up them. Okay? Like, people are like, well, Streets of Rage is really good. The only reason Streets of Rage exists is because Capcom made Final Fight. No Final Fight, no Streets of Rage. I mean,
kind of funny.
The only reason Sonic the Hedgehog exists is because they wanted something that would appeal to cool kids, that was the anti-Mario. And really, Sonic the Hedgehog is the anti-Mario because, you know, Nintendo has never had to pimp out Mario to be given blowies and handies behind a dumpster, a dirty dumpster behind a 7-Eleven in Japan, like they've been doing for Sonic the Hedgehog, because they lost so much money.
You know, I just realized that I kind of can make another unpopular opinion, but I'll save it for Saturday.
All right. Well, before we wrap things up, I have a little bit of news to cover. A little bit of news.
I bet you had a mailbag too.
What? No. We'll save that for Saturday. Here's a little bit of news. Kirk Scott, the guy who took over Nindies for Nintendo, he's leaving Nintendo. He's leaving Nintendo. And here's his news. He says, "I am no longer working at Nintendo. The past 5 years have brought incredible joy from working with all the amazing indies, and that work will continue. Since February of this year, the events we have all experienced have crystallized my thinking. I'm tired. Opening doors for minorities, being inclusive, and enabling success for everyone in the indie space will be a priority for me. It brings me joy. I can't wait to continue this work with all of you. We all have an opportunity to make things better for others and educate while making great games. Stay tuned." Yeah, I think he got hired by an indie studio that's probably paying him a little bit more money or giving him the leave to do what he wants to do. Because Nintendo is very no drama, stay behind the curtain type of company. So he probably got fired up.
Maybe I don't know. It's like with Allison Rapp. You know, there's a lot of digging on her when she left.
Who?
Turned out she was in the. Yeah, I see exactly who. It was Allison Rapp. She was I think she's like a PR person at Nintendo.
Oh, you mean the one who? You mean the one who had that awesomely tight, tight cashmere sweater on at the E3 Nintendo Treehouse, and people were looking more at that cashmere sweater and how it fit on her body than looking at the games. Like, man, fuck the game. What's she wearing?
No, that's Audrey Blake. I think she might still be there. Allison Rapp was a PR person. She apparently it turns out she's completely and utterly insane. If you look into her, but,
insane.
yeah,
Why got her?
They had to let her go. They had to cut her off the leash.
Well, it happens. Also, here's some other news for you. Now, this is some scummy news from Take-Two. I told you guys this shit would come back around. Take-Two, the people who made Kerbal Space Program, the small little indie studio.
What happened?
The game was being published and funded by Take-Two, the second game. Basically, Take-Two essentially cut off their contract and then tried to poach the people who were left over. So 2/3 of the company is left, and the studio went under. It's basically some unethical bullshit. I mean, it's not illegal, but it's damn sure unethical. And it should be illegal, but, it is what it is.
I was about to say, I thought that was just grand theft.
No, it's grand something. But that's a little bit of news I thought you guys should hear. The Game Gear.
Oh boy.
Did any of you guys get the TurboGrafx Mini?
What?
Did any of you
TurboGrafx Mini?
I did not, because
the PC Engine.
I didn't get the TurboGrafx Mini just because, well, first of all, it's from Konami, and I don't like Konami these days.
I got a different reason to not like Konami, but go ahead.
I got multiple reasons to not like Konami. Number one, Bomberman. Number two, Mystical Ninja, aka Goemon. Number three, no new Suikoden. Number four, their latest Contra game was trash. Let's see, what else? Number five, they're sitting on all these IPs and they aren't doing shit with them.
I mean, we kind of know Nintendo has that kind of trouble, but come on, Konami does it worse.
So, with Nintendo, when they let a IP wind down, it's because like the sales have just been diminishing. But there's like a hunger for Bomberman. There's a hunger for a Suikoden.
Yeah. They just don't have the talent to make that stuff anymore.
Okay, there's a hunger for a new fucking Castlevania game.
Bloodstained didn't do it for you, huh? Didn't do it for a lot of people, unfortunately.
Well, to be honest with you, having played the demo for Bloodstained, I was like, nah. To be honest with you, I don't really like the Koji Igarashi Castlevania games. Like, I think the best one he did was Aria of Sorrow and Harmony of Dissonance. I don't like Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I don't like Dawn of Sorrow. I don't like the Koji Igarashi Castlevania games. By and large.
I don't really get Symphony of the Night. Like, I just think That game seems so incredibly overrated. I tried playing, because I went from Super Metroid to playing Symphony of the Night. And I was like, nah, nope, can't do it. Something about this game doesn't feel right.
I mean, I just don't like. I mean, this is just a personal thing, but I personally prefer. When I play Castlevania games, I like the classic play through the game. It's not an RPG. Level to level to level. Castlevanias. I don't like Castlevanias with like, well, it's like an RPG and you have levels. I don't like all that shit with my Castlevania. I just want straight up point A to point B, beat a level, get to the boss, beat them, figure out which sub weapon works, beat the boss, move on to the next level. That's what I like. Okay, I don't like all that extra shit. Okay, you know. Like I'll give an example.
You're more into the 16-bit, 8-bit style of Castlevania.
I'll use food as an example. Well, technically speaking, Symphony of the Night was 16-bit too. It just had it was on a 32-bit system and it had CD audio quality. But I mean, it was on a 16-bit because remember the best version of Symphony of the Night is on the TurboGrafx CD, which is still a It's still a technically the TurboGrafx CD is an 8-bit system with a CD attachment. But so really it's an 8-bit game technically. 2 8-bit.
Well, I mean, another unpopular opinion. Symphony of the Night wasn't that good of a game.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Symphony of the Night, I'm not really that into it. Because here's the thing. If you had never played a Metroid game, you'd be like, oh, well, you know, it's like basically it's like someone said, hey, I want to add Metroid into Castlevania. Okay, that's cool, but I've been playing Metroid games for years, so this isn't new to me. I personally prefer I prefer a Castlevania game that I can sit down and beat in an hour and a half, 2-3 hours at tops. Like if I have to play a Castlevania game where I need saves and shit, I'm not that into it. Like I said, there's only 2 Koji.
For me, it kind of works considering that Metroid is no longer being more into the 2D aspect.
Well, they keep on trying to add Metroid Prime into everything now. I mean, that's why Other M fucked up because they tried to make it into they tried to add aspects of Prime into it, and I'm like, just make a 2D Metroid. Even the Metroid 2 Return of Samus remake is like all Metroid primed up, and I'm like, this doesn't need to have Metroid Prime shit added to it. It really doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why I feel like I like the Castlevania that they're doing right now with exploration and save points.
Yeah, I'm not really. I don't like that.
Because Metroid is seriously don't run away from it.
Yeah, I don't really like. I like old school style, point A to point B, no saves, just lives. You make it to the end of the level, you fight the boss, move on to the next level. That's what I like. That's how I like my Castlevania. Like basically, I like my Castlevania like a hamburger, just meat, bun, cheese, toast the bun, a little bit of ketchup, a little bit of mayonnaise, maybe some mustard. That's it. Like I don't need, whereas, Koji Igarashi came in and took that same burger and added bean sprouts to it. I'm like, look, man, if I wanted a salad, I'd fix myself a salad. I don't want bean sprouts on my hamburger. I just want a straight up hamburger. Don't be doing all this weird shit to the hamburger. And that's basically kind of like where I kind of left the boat on Street Fighter. I'm not really into it. I mean, on Castlevania, I'm not really into it. I'm not really into Castlevania. I don't think it's a terrible game. I don't think it's a terrible franchise these days. It's just not. It's not great. But that's just me. Anything anyone else wants to say before we wrap things up?
One thing I'm just remembering. I was remembering what we were talking about earlier.
About
Seriously,
what?
Did they have to? Did they have to go that small?
For what?
4 games per mini console.
The Game Gear Micro. The thing is that it's that small, and they're charging. You only get 4 games, and it's that fucking small. I mean, shit. You know why they're doing this? Because they made all that money with the Game Boy with the Sega Genesis Mini. But the Sega Genesis Mini had a lot of games on it, though.
Why couldn't they just make a full-size, or somewhat, maybe a slightly thinner, but yet with like a slightly bigger screen, maybe more hand-friendly system with all those games on it for like $50-$60. Call it a day. Whatever. I guess they just got they're getting a little too brave now. Getting a little too brave.
Well, I mean, they made a lot of money apparently on the Sega Genesis Mini was a success. So I guess they were like, "Hey, man, let's make a lot of let's do some shit." So, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
We can't all be kings. Some of us have to be paupers and merchants, and the middle class and knights.
Some of us are just relegated to being a jester.
Yeah, but who wants to be the jester?
Yeah, if you don't tell a funny joke, you'll get your head cut off.
Or tortured. So with that being said, I mean, really, torture versus getting my head cut off, I'd rather have my head cut off than be tortured.
Yeah.
Because at least your head cut off, that's the end of it. It's over. Torture, you're talking getting your fingernails pulled out, having some type of implement shoved up your arse, being castrated, splinters being driven up under your nails. It's just not fun. Teeth being pulled with no anesthesia. So, anyway, anything you guys want to bring up before we wrap things up? Give our sign-offs, all that fun jazz? Nothing?
I think I'm all right.
All right. So, with that being said, this is Mr. Red Fox, the owner-proprietor of BS Busters. Get in touch with the cast via Gmail. You can reach me. This is all lowercase at Mr. Red Fox BS Buster at gmail.com or at Twitter.
He also got a Twitter.
Yes, or at Twitter at capital M, Matthew, all lowercase after that, Matthew, capital W, Wesley, at Mr. Red Fox 91 on Twitter. So, rate, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun jazz. Peace, good night.
Drive responsibly. Don't forget to wash your hands, by the way.
Yes, please